Hey fans of Subject Found, before we get going with the second half of the season, a special announcement to celebrate. Are you a book lover? Do you love this show? Great. I am very happy to announce that Chasing the Demon, my first novel, is now available for pre-order on Amazon, print and digital copy. That's right. Its release date is June 10th. You can go get it, get your pre-order in now. Every single copy that is sold goes back into helping continue this show on into season 3. So please, if you're a lover of books, even if you've heard Jared Strong's story from season 1, I guarantee you there's stuff in there you didn't know happened. Head over to Amazon, pick up the e-copy, pick up the print copy, pick up both copies, and help this show continue on. Also, before we get to our patrons and the second half of the season of Subject Found, stay tuned at the end of this episode. I have a special trailer for you from my friend over at Spines, Jamie Killen. You may know that show. You probably do if you love this show. Well, she's been kind enough to send her official 3-minute trailer over to me for her own new book that is out now called The Wandering Land. So stick around to the end of the episode. Check out the trailer for The Wandering Land. This episode of Subject Found 2-6 Reflections is brought to you by my patrons. People like Nate Vanilla Warford, the host and creator of How to Listen to Music in the 22nd Century, Patrick Monroe, and Robert Chauncey of the Tunnels podcast. Thank you for your constant and humbling support.
God, I'm exhausted. Oh, I'm sorry, Monica. I'm sorry about that last file. Not that you'll know why. There was more to it. I deleted a lot of it. Stuff you didn't need to hear. Stuff no one needed to hear. Things I probably shouldn't have said. Well, it doesn't matter. New recording. Moving forward, right? So that last recording, I stopped. I stopped because I was shaken, upset. Marshall had come by that day, if you'll remember. He brought the mugshots of those 3 guys he said the police were keeping tabs on. Not suspects, not yet. One of those men, I recognized him. Or at least I think I recognized him. I'm not so sure. I was then, but now I'm not. A few days ago, I was convinced he was the same man I saw outside the building, the man who followed me to my car, but there was something so familiar about him. Branson could be right. I might be jumping at shadows at this point, but I've done some digging into those men. Hank Reynolds, Roman Byers, and Rick Watford, or Teddy, on the streets. The last time I checked in with Marshall, they hadn't made much in the way of progress. If this is what they've got it narrowed down to, then I'm not surprised. Teddy doesn't have much of a story. He's been picked up 100 times if he's been picked up once, mostly for petty crimes. He doesn't seem to have much in the way of a violent streak. He's notorious in the homeless camps around the city, mostly because he's a funny guy and other homeless actually like having him around. The other 2 guys, though, I haven't talked to Marshall in a few days, so I'm not completely sure where he's at with the investigation. He may have newer information, but from what I've been able to dig up, both of these guys have evidence of a violent history. Armed robbery, battery, crimes like that. I realize those aren't the same thing as slashing someone's throat, but they're indicators, if nothing else. Hank Reynolds seems particularly violent, but I also can't look past Roman Byers. His rap sheet is just as violent and marked, if only a little shorter. It's almost like he suddenly opted for a life of crime when he hit his midlife crisis or something. I didn't expect that out of him, especially if... Weird. Sort of sad. Who knows? Maybe that's why he was hanging outside the paper that night. Maybe he's just a desperate man who's fallen on hard times. If that was him. His mugshots, though. There's something familiar in his eyes. I can't let it go. I never thought I'd... Oh, shit. I didn't realize it was this late. I've got to get to the office. Last night I submitted the draft of the series to you, and I'm curious what you think about it. I'm kind of nervous about it, to be honest. I hope you like it.
I'm just a little worried about some of the language. Please don't be upset. It's a fine piece.
What's wrong with it?
It's just a little harsh on the victims. Someone might take it as a sort of victim blaming. I don't, just to be clear, but some of the readership might. We obviously want to stay away from that now that the 2 victims' names are out. But don't worry, it'll be fine. We'll do some edits, just normal ones like we always do. Nothing out of the ordinary, and it'll be good to go.
Well, I like it just as it is, Monica. There isn't any victim blaming in there, though it would have been easy enough with how they acted.
Janice, I'm sorry you feel that way. I am. But there were portions of it that could get us into hot water with the families, and I'd rather avoid that altogether, out of decency and not wanting any courtroom visits in the near future.
So my writing isn't decent?
No, not that at all. Well, I definitely didn't mean to imply that Listen, Janice, it's a fine piece. Don't worry. Can I ask you a question? It may sound personal, so don't worry about upsetting me. But are you feeling okay?
Yeah, why?
You just seem different. I was thinking you were under the weather. You know, if you need time. You didn't have to come back so quickly. I'll understand.
I'm fine.
Okay. Well, we'll be running the story tomorrow. Make sure you stay close to Marshall for anything that breaks. He's okay with the piece with my changes, so he's in the loop. Nothing to worry about in that respect. Great job.
How could you tell her about the box, Mom?
Oh, honestly, Janice, you're lucky to have friends like her. Angelique, she truly cares about you. You're so blessed to have her in your life.
Oh, that's great. Thanks. Now, can you be decent enough to answer my question?
She was worried about you.
So,
when people are worried about you, don't you think it would be helpful if they understood where you're coming from? Yeah, I swear, Janice, you never come by here unless you're having a bad day because you don't follow your therapist's advice. You only yell at me when you are here, and don't get me started on church. I mean, when was the last time you went?
Don't you dare try to play victim.
Why? Because only you are allowed to be one. That's it.
Fuck you!
Please, Jesus, forgive her.
Between the 2 of us, you need forgiveness much more than I do. Let's not forget about that. This problem that is me, yeah, that's on your head, Mother. You could have fixed me, if only you could have been bothered to.
I've tried, Janice. I've tried for years to get through to you, to help you bury those demons, but you've refused almost everything from me. I mean, honestly, I'm shocked that you took my guidance on how to take care of...
You tried? When? When did you try?
Let's not use this crutch forever, okay? I mean, will you ever let this victim stuff go? You know, Father Reynolds forgave your grandfather and your father. Your father paid his debt for what he did to those girls' parents. An unfair debt, I might add. Janice, he's done more for you than you'll ever know.
Oh, my God. What kind of mother says something like that? I'll tell you, a horrible one. But what should I expect from a woman who covers for her own pervert father? At least my problem is that my father didn't love me enough. Your problem is that you allowed your father to love me inappropriately.
He got help and made amends.
Amends? To who?
He went to confession. He was forgiven, and he changed his ways, and he didn't bother you anymore when he came back.
He didn't bother me because he knew what that would mean for him. He knew he'd go back to jail forever if Dad didn't kill him first. Please, pull your head out of your Bible and look at the real world, Mother. It's right there in front of you.
Oh, you wouldn't talk like this if your father was here. Or if you had a little more belief in something bigger than yourself. You wouldn't have beaten that girl nearly to death in middle school, and you wouldn't have got fired from that nice job you had if you had your head in the Bible a little more often. You would have learned how to deal with life's troubles a lot better if you just...
Yeah, well, Dad isn't here, no matter how badly you want him to be. And that girl and her little gang tortured me for years. And you wouldn't protect me. She pushed and pushed until I snapped. You seem to forget what those girls did to me. What they stopped doing to me only when I stood up for myself. I didn't attack her. And I didn't nearly beat her to death, Mother. That's not even close to the truth.
You put her in the hospital. And your job, the one you were fired from?
I was being harassed.
Isn't that always the case? Nothing is ever your fault, is it? Nothing. Never were the dirty little girl, were you? Never have been, never will be in your eyes. Now you take after your father in that respect. Blind.
You're a horrible person. I'm taking this now, and we'll come back for my other things this weekend if I get a chance. If not, I'll get them within a week or two. Then we can be done with this charade. Done with each other. You've always acted like that mother who didn't want anything to do with her child. There have been a lot of nights I've wondered what I did wrong, what I could have done to be a better daughter. And, I learned a few years ago that there wasn't much I could have done to make you happy. You're always going to be miserable. You are always going to be the miserable, lying manipulator you are. You're never going to change. You're never going to accept me for me. But there is one thing you'll always do. You'll always blame me for what happened. I'll come by and get the rest of my stuff when you're at church. That way, we don't have to see each other.
Janice, wait, it's not like that, please. We need to talk. Don't go. We still have work to do. Janice.
Of course, I can't tell her she's right. And Monica, don't you feel bad about all this? The story, getting this job, it has nothing to do with my relationship with my mother, okay? This was going to come to a head eventually, regardless of whether or not I worked for you, so please don't go blaming yourself. She's who she is and has been. She's not going to change. And I have scars that go back to a point in my life where I needed her to be someone she's not. The thing that burns me up the most about all of it. She's right about some of it. Anyone who struggles with mental health issues or loves someone who is struggling knows it's not easy. Mental health is something society doesn't take seriously enough. And honestly, most of us don't really understand it all that well, myself included. I'm not one of the lucky ones. No matter how hard I wish I was. Whereas some people get by in life with a diagnosis that allows them to operate under the radar, I'm not so fortunate. Not that it's any of your business, but my head can be fucked up sometimes. It impacts my physiology. My energy levels are all over the place. I can still get my job done. It just creates headaches for anyone who needs something from me on a regular schedule, or when I'm full of energy and I bug the hell out of Angelique. I do the best I can. I understand why people avoid me. I would rather avoid me a lot of the time, too. I can be unpleasant. I know that. I guess that's why my love life has been as dysfunctional as humanly possible. I haven't had a steady boyfriend in... Oh, yeah, I struggle with personal relationships. What I need in a relationship isn't necessarily what men seem to be able to give, and with everything that happened in my childhood, trusting men and having healthy relationships, well, it doesn't come naturally. I almost got married once. Tom Sanders, nice guy, boring, but nice. As boring as his name implies. He was a decent guy, though. Much more decent than anyone I'd had in my life up to that point. Reminded me a lot of my father. But if there was one thing about Tom that separated him from the rest, it was that he got me. Got me better than anyone else ever did. We were young, maybe too young, and maybe we might have worked out if we'd come into each other's lives years later than we did. Who knows? But we didn't. We met when we met in college. He was a philosophy major. Can you believe it? I fell for a philosophy major. He was so exciting to talk to talk about the world with. He just saw it differently. And when we would go out on our short trips to different towns or out into nature, he'd share things about the history of the place I had no idea about. And I grew up there. Anytime I thought I knew what I was talking about, didn't matter if it was religion or politics or social issues, he'd give me a completely different perspective. He made me think. He always challenged me, always stimulated me. And I fucked it all up. It was the end of the school year. I was up to my neck in studying for finals. My mother had a breakdown. It was just, my life was a whirlwind. I didn't do it on purpose, but I didn't think about staying on my medication schedule, and my appointments with my therapist weren't a priority. How could they be? I had finals to prepare for. We were down on Beale Street enjoying ourselves, enjoying the crowds, and Tom saw some friends from his high school. They were a few years older and in town for some event or something, and he asked if I minded if we hang out with them for a little while. What could I say? Of course I wanted him to myself, but I didn't want to be one of those girlfriends, so I went along with it, even though I really didn't want to, really. That short visit turned into an all-nighter, and we finally got back to his car. We got into a horrendous fight. I called him horrible names. I said things to him he didn't deserve to have said. I acted horribly. It was obvious he was getting upset, and he started yelling back. He started saying terrible things that he wouldn't have said under any other circumstance. I know that because I knew him. It wasn't like him. I'd pushed him too far. I'd shattered our relationship. It was over, just like that. The night that started with us going out to enjoy the city and time with each other ended up with us going our separate ways. When he said he wanted to split up, I hit him. Not once, not twice. I hit him over and over and over. Enough that he actually had to get out of his own car to get away from me. I think he walked home. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I sort of lost some parts of that night. One moment I was watching him fade into the darkness beyond the illuminated part of the street, and the next I was smashing his dashboard. It's amazing the damage a steady pair of boots and a fiery woman can do. I even shocked myself. I never spoke to Tom again. Never got back some of the things I had at his apartment either. I just left them there. I'm sure he burned everything. That's what I would have done. I was so angry, I didn't care what he did. How dare he abandon me like that when I supposedly meant so much to him? How dare he move on with his life without me? Oh God. You didn't want to know all this, did you? Of course not. No one cares about my story. So, don't blame yourself, okay? My mother is worthless. Most of the men in my life are and have been worthless, and my friends are worthless. Angelique being the exception. Angelique will be there until the end. Monica, Angelique, Marshall, anyone who gets this. I saw him again. I'm following him right now. He was in a car behind me, fucking tailing me from my house to work. I can't be sure that he knew I was aware. I got lucky. I forgot to grab my tablet and had to go back. He couldn't have been expecting me, and that's when I saw him running from the house, getting into his car. I followed him. I'm now at Martyrs Park. He's walking the path along the Mississippi. I'm a good 200 or 300 yards behind him. Far enough to turn and run if he discovers I'm following him, but close enough to try and figure out who he is and maybe why he keeps showing up in my life. Shit, I'm losing him. Hang on. The Riverwalk, the sidewalk that runs parallel to the Mississippi, ends in a loop, a sort of walking cul-de-sac, if you will. That's where I'm standing now, and he's nowhere to be seen. I don't know what happened. The tree coverage along the river is moderately thick, nothing too serious, though. Nothing thick enough that I shouldn't be able to pick up where he went. Yet I can't. It's not like he has a lot of places to hide. The Mississippi runs along to my right, the west side of the park. There's no way he went that way. Swimming in the Mississippi? Not gonna happen. He didn't circle back and come around me. The park itself is spotted with trees, and it's really flat. I would have noticed him, so that leaves him going south of the park toward the news station or the church or the I-55 bridge. He must have used the tree line to cover his route. It's just too open otherwise. Damn it. I should have stuck closer to him. Hey.
What are you doing?
I'm at Martyrs Park right now.
What? Why? Never mind. Get down here, now!
The paper?
Yes!
Why?
There's been another murder.
Different. Oh, hey, Janice. I'm just catching everyone up.
How about catching me up too?
Right. Here's the situation. About 3 hours ago, we got a report. Another floater down in Non-Connor Creek. Female, age 28. No positive ID made yet.
So that's 3? Same killer?
We can't be sure. Not yet. It's possible. The body was found in about the same location as the others. Her throat was slit. Pretty badly, but not nearly as bad as what we had with Ms. Nichols and Ms. Chapman. It could mean a million things. A different killer, or...
Or what?
Well, it could mean our killer was interrupted. Someone could have come along, caught him off guard. His work might not have been finished. In fact, I'm pretty sure he wasn't.
God.
Yeah.
Wait. Why would you say that?
Say what?
You say you were pretty sure he wasn't finished, that his work wasn't finished. What makes you say that?
Because he messed up this time.
How?
There was a witness.
Thank you for your download, and listen, if you are enjoying this show, go over to your favorite podcatcher and even your non-favorite podcatchers and leave a 5-star rating and review for the show to help others find it. All of these things are wonderful ways that you can support us. Of course, like always, if you have the ability, we would really appreciate any help you could provide over at patreon.com/Paul Sading. Over there, you get no less than 2 stories a month, even during the off-season. Stories of all varieties. The patrons during 2018 are getting a new short story every month that will be part of my horror anthology at the end of the year. In addition to that, I also do flash fiction each month for those wonderful, wonderful people who make this all possible. Subject Found is a Paul Sading production and is scored, sound designed, and mixed by Dog and Pony Studios out of Las Vegas. You can find them at dogandponystudios.net. They do absolutely wonderful job, so if you are looking for scoring and sound designing, please head over there and go say hi to them and see what they can do with you. Lastly, I want to give you one more Fate Crafters recommendation before we get out of here. This time around, Girl in Space. Imagine being abandoned on a dying ship in the farthest reaches of the known universe. Well, this is how a young scientist fights for survival each and every day. Well, in addition to battling for patience with her onboard artificial intelligence. Who is she? No one knows. But a lot of dangerous entities really want to find out. Listen as the story unfolds for science, guns, trust, antimatter, truth, beauty, inner turmoil, and delicious cheeses. It's all here in Girl in Space. You can also find all the information you want by heading over to girlinspace.com, checking the show out on Facebook and Twitter at Girl in Space, or subscribing straight to the RSS feed by going to girlinspace.libsyn.com/RSS. Can't recommend this one highly enough. Go check out Sarah Werner and Girl in Space. You will love it. Heather Auden plays Janice Herring. Maximilian Defoe of Thematic Podcast is Angelique Kelly. Lauren Wisniewski is Monica Ravenalt. John McClane of Dog and Pony Studios and producer of Subject Found and Who Killed Julie is Marshall Rogers. Sarah Golden of Audio Drama Production Podcast is Pam Herring.
You and the others should run from this place. If you walk these roads, she'll never let you leave.
Wes, where are we? This should be, the city. Where are we?
Do you know where we are?
It shows us. We're supposed to be here.
I know how many of us there are. People who can come here. There's me, you, and 3 others. No one else can see this place.
Shit, what's that? What the fuck is that?
New doors? What does that mean?
I think I did something. I think I made some new passages.
These dreams I've been having? Something's wrong.
Am I seeing that right? With the eyes?
Have you seen her?
Have you seen her?
Have you seen her?
The Queen. You have to lead the others to her. Show them the way. Together you can save her. The Wandering Land by Jamie Killen, now available from Solstice Publishing. Buy now at Amazon.com.